Alright, so let's start. So when do we use Countif and Countifs? So I have here data on a separate worksheet. So I have here collected age, gender, company, position, and these are trainings. So this data is from a survey. So this data contains scores of each training taken by the respondents. Alright, so now our goal is to be able to use Countif. We use Countif if we want to count the number of words or items showing on our raw data and give us a total count of a certain word or item. Okay, so I have here the report. I have tables created here. So what are we going to do is to fill out or answer it just like this one. So now let me delete this part. So this is our report. We will count the number of female and male respondents, and we will also count the number of those who are rank and file and managerial position. And okay, so let's begin. So here, let's define what Countif function is. So we use Countif to count the number of cells that meet a criterion. So for example, to count the number of times a particular CT appears in a customer list. So for our data, we will count the number of female and number of male for our raw worksheet here. Also, we will count the number of rank and file and managerial position. And we will also count the number of respondents who are in the age of 29, 31, and so on. And for Countifs, so Countifs function applies criteria to cells across multiple ranges and counts the number of times all criteria are met. Okay? So that is for Countif. So let's start with Countif. So here we will count the number of female. So how are we going to do that? So first, since this will be a formula, we will start by using the equal sign. This is the formula bar and this is our cell. So when we enter equal sign inside the cell, automatically it projects to our formula bar. So we can enter it here as what you can see, the cursor is inside the cell. We can also put it here. So it's the same way. Okay? So let's put it here. Now we will count the number of female on our raw data. So we'll use Countif. So we have here the library. It's the can choose Countif or Countifs. For now, we'll use Countif. So while we are starting to type it, it gives us already suggestions of the syntaxes that starts with COU and so on. So here we will use Countif and counts the number of cells within a range that meet the given condition. So this one is used for condition. So because we have the if stick. So now we will enclose it using a parenthesis. So open parenthesis, and the next thing that we'll have to do is to choose the range. So where do you want to look? That's how it is. So where do you want to look? We will go back to our data and where will we want to look? It's here in B, starting from B1 to B23. Or we can remove, or we can exclude the header because the header is gender, that's B1. So we can start from B2 up to the last cell, which is B23. Now, we want to lock this particular array or cells, so we will click on F4 to lock the cells. Locking the cells will prevent it from moving. So if in any case that we will drag this later on, then our chosen array or cells will not be changed. Okay? And then enter the comma sign. And as you can see here on the formula bar, we have the word data. It actually added data since we moved away from our original worksheet. So it's pointing, so this range is pointing to another cell, or rather another worksheet. Alright, now we add comma to separate it from the next thing that we will add, which is the criteria. So we will go back to our report. What do you want to look for? So what are we looking for? And as you can see, report is added because we are from the data. We move back to report. So there, we can remove this. That's fine. It will still point to worksheet report because our cell, our active cell is within worksheet report. But that's fine, we can leave it as it is, and then we will add our criteria. So what are we looking for? We are looking for the word female. So we can add that. So let's just remove. So female. Okay, and then we can now close it using the close parenthesis. So for Countif, it will just be one array or one range and one criteria. And then we can click on enter. Then immediately it will calculate, or it will already count the number of female from the range that we've selected earlier. So let's break it down one more time. Countif, open parenthesis, move to your range. Since our data is on another worksheet, you move it there and select the range, and then we click F4. So you have the $sign that will lock the cells. It will prevent the cells from being moved, and then go back, comma, and go back to report to select what we are looking for, which is A2, which is female. Okay, and then we close it with a closing parenthesis and enter. Immediately it'll give us the number of female. So let's take a look at the number. It's number 7. So the total count for female is 7. Let's go back to our data and check how many female are there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it is correct. 7. Now, since we already have this, we already have the formula on the first cell, or in B2, we can just drag it to be able to get the count of male. Alright, so we have 15 males. So why did we just drag it? As you can see, earlier we locked the cells. So we are still using the same range of data from worksheet data. And for here, for the criteria, the reason why we did not lock this cell, it is because we wanted to drag it afterward to reuse the formula in male gender. So when we drag the formula like this, we also dragged the criteria. So it moved from A2, which is this one, down to A3. Okay. So it says here the total count for male gender is 15. So let's check. Let's go back to data and let's count for male. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So the report is correct. Let's try it again, this time using position. So equal sign, Countif, open parenthesis, select your range. Let's go back to the data worksheet. And now my range is position. So this is the position column. I'll start from D2 down to D23. Now I'll press on F4 to lock the cells. Put a comma. Go back to report. Select my cell criteria. And then close parenthesis, enter. So here we have 17 respondents who are in rank and file position. So let's drag it. So it means we have 5 respondents who are in managerial position. Let's check. Correct. So it's pointing, the criteria is pointing correctly, managerial position. Alright, let's do it again. This time using age. Okay, so it's equal sign, Countif. Let's go to our range. This time it's the age. I want to count the number of, or the total number of people who are age 29, 30, 31, and so on. Let's lock ourselves, comma, let's go back to our criteria. This time I want to check age, how many are in age 29. Select the cell, close the parenthesis, and enter. It says here, I only have one respondent who is at age 29. Let's check. Age 29, so we have here, anything else? There's none. So our report is correct. Now, we'll get the rest by dragging our formula down. And now, here it goes. We already have the report. See? Excel, or using formula and syntaxes in Excel, is very helpful. It makes our work easier and simpler, productive and efficient. Okay, this time we will use Countifs. So Countifs function applies criteria to cells across multiple ranges and counts the number of times all criteria are met. So here, because on Countif, there's just one range and one criteria. For Countifs, it's like a plural form of Countif, wherein we can add more range and more criteria. So the syntax shows like this one. We will enter the criteria range 1, and then criteria 1, and then our separator will always be comma, criteria range 2, comma, criteria 2. So that's how it is. So we will use it in finding how many female are rank and file, how many female are in managerial position, how many male are rank and file, and how many male are in managerial position. Now, let's do that. So, first, enter the equal sign. Okay? Then count ifs. So our first range is the gender. So we will look for female. So this time, let's go to our data worksheet, and from B2 up to B23, we will lock the cell, press F4, comma, let's go back to our worksheet, and our criteria is female. Right, so we're done with the first criteria for our first condition. However, we also want to only count the number of respondents who are in rank and file. So female and rank and file. So this time we'll add another comma. Then our range for criteria 2, let's go back to the data worksheet, and this time we will select D2 down to D23, and then we will lock our cell, click F4 and comma. Let's go back to our report worksheet, and our criteria number 2 is the position. So our criteria is the rank and file. So that's on worksheet report, cell G2. Now, since we only have two conditions, then we can now close our formula. So we will add the closing parenthesis and enter. So it says here we have 7 female that are rank and file, and now we have all others like the female managerial position, male rank and file, male managerial position. So we already have the first formula here, and since we established that already, then we can reuse the formula by dragging it here. Alright, isn't it easy? So that's how you use Countif function and Countifs function. I hope you learned something today. And if you have questions, just comment down below. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. So see you on my next video. Goodbye!